everybody. This is Heidi with Yoga Body and Soul. This is going to be a 1-hour luscious relaxation class. So the goal of this class is to get the body and the mind to completely relax. We'll be holding just 5 poses, about 7 minutes each, with a little bit of movement in between. This is to get the body propped up into a pose, and then without any effort, let the body relax and stretch out. So you will need some props for this one. A bolster. I just roll up a bunch of blankets and then tie them up. So it doesn't have to be super big, but this one's probably 8 or 9 inches up off the floor. A couple of yoga blocks if you have them. If you don't have yoga blocks, you can always use a blanket or 2, just however many, just so you can get a little bit more support, a little bit more propped up. So grab your props, just have them handy. We're going to set an intention for this class to relax. So I will remind you throughout the class to think about that, to relax the body, to relax the mind. Especially with everything going on right now in the country and in the world, there's a lot of stress in the body, there's a lot of worry in the mind. So just taking an hour out of your day to completely let go of all that, let go of all the stress, let go of all the worry, and to ease a lot of the tension in the body. It's good for you. It's good for your immune system, it's good for your overall mental health. So this will be live right now, but then it'll be on my Facebook page later, and it'll be on YouTube sometime, probably this evening or by tomorrow. So do it as many times as you need to. Do it every day. It might be a little too slow paced for kids, but if you could get them to do even a little bit of this, that might also help calm some of the kids down just a little bit. So we'll go ahead and get started. Just come to a seated position. Legs are crossed. Sitting tall, stacking the shoulders over the hips, reaching the top of the head towards the ceiling. Close the eyes. Hands can rest on the knees. We're going to breathe through the nose. Just nice, smooth, deep breaths. Notice any tension in the body. Maybe you're holding it in the hips or the shoulders, the jaw. On every inhale, really focus on filling up the body with air. On every exhale, as you release all that air, release all that tension. Stay focused on the breath. We're going to start to deepen the breath. So take a little bit longer to inhale all of that air, filling up the belly, filling up the chest. And then slowly and deliberately release all of that air. letting the belly button sink towards the spine. And then inhale again. Notice any thoughts running through the head. We're going to try to replace those thoughts with one of I am relaxed. So throughout the class, just remember that intention and just repeat it to yourself anytime you start noticing the tension start to well up again. Last breath here. And you can open the eyes. All right, we're going to come to hands and knees. We're going to get just a little bit of cat-cow movement here just to start to warm up the body. So the knees are hip-width apart directly under the hips. Hands are shoulder-width apart with the wrists under the shoulders. And we're going to drop the belly and inhale, lifting the head. Exhale, round the back towards the ceiling, chin coming towards the chest, tailbone towards the floor. Again, inhale, drop the belly, bring the head up. Exhale, round the back towards the ceiling. 3 more rounds at your own pace. When you're done with your last one, just come to a flat back. We're going to come into a seated position. We're going to do a supported seated forward fold to start. So you want your legs in front of you straight, and the feet are about the width of your mat apart. Toes facing the ceiling. And you're going to bring your 2 blocks or your blankets, and you can roll them up for extra support. And you can lay them flat in between the legs with the bolster on top if you feel like coming down that far. Now for a little bit gentler of a pose here, take 1 block flat to the floor, the other one tall, and you're just going to stack it on top of that bottom one. And you're going to place the bolster between the legs, and you're going to let it rest against that little tower of blocks here. Sitting nice and tall, and just start to bring the belly down to the bolster. Forehead can come down, and bring the side of the head to the bolster, whatever feels comfortable. And you can hold that block, or you can just rest the arms on the legs. So just do any movements you need to get comfortable in the pose. And you can always place a blanket here on top of the bolster to even, prop up a little bit higher. Close the eyes. As you start to relax in this pose, start to notice the body. Notice the heels on the floor. Try to think of the calves and the backs of the legs becoming heavy, sinking towards the floor. Release any tension in the hips. Let the sit bones sink down. Let that belly and that chest relax into the bolster. Let the shoulders drop forward. Release any tension in the jaw. Just let the props on the floor hold you up here. Nice deep breaths through the nose. Notice where you're holding tension in the body here. Consciously on every exhale, release that tension to the floor. Let the body relax. The mind starts to wander. Bring the focus to the breath. Notice every inhale how the belly and the chest fill up with air, pressing into the bolster. The back is filling up with air. And then on every exhale, the body is allowed to sink a little bit deeper into the pose. Tell yourself, I am relaxed. focus to the breath. We're going to slowly move out of this pose, so just sitting tall. I'm just going to move the bolsters off to the side. Slowly come to hands and knees for tabletop again. And just at your own pace, just do a few rounds of the cat-cow again. So on the inhales, dropping the belly down. Exhales, rounding the back toward the ceiling, chin towards the chest. Just to get a little movement in the spine here. Alright, come to a flat back. We're going to do a supported cobra, so it's a bit of a back bend. So if the bolster is too high of a prop, you can always lay the blocks flat next to each other, or you can take one of your blankets and just fold it over a couple of times, whatever feels good for the lower back. I'm going to use the bolster. So just set it long ways on the mat. And you're going to come down to the belly. Feet are about hip width apart on the floor. And the bolster is going to be right under the chest and neck. And then you're just going to wrap the arms over the top of it, or your blanket, or your blocks. And just start to settle the body. So move around a little, hips coming down, belly settling, relaxing the feet. And the arms can fall over, you can fold them around it, whatever feels good. Chin can rest on the bolster. You can turn your head to the side. And as you start to come into this pose, just start to think about the tops of the legs, the tops of the feet, the hips and the belly, just starting to really sink towards the floor, feeling nice and heavy. Letting the bolster or the blanket or the blocks support the arms, support under the arms. And the body's tendency is going to be to hold yourself up in this position. So you might feel some tension in the chest and the belly and the lower back. Notice it and just start to release it towards the floor. So really relaxing the body, letting the floor hold you up. Let it support you here. Eyes are closed. Deep breaths through the nose. On every inhale, feel how the belly and the chest expand into the floor. And then on each exhale, notice how the body sinks a little closer to the floor, allowing the body to relax. Focus on the body, focus on the breath if the mind is wandering or racing with thoughts or feelings. And remind yourself of our intention, I am relaxed. If at any point the lower back is feeling too uncomfortable, you can always remove the bolster and just lay flat on the floor. As we go through these poses, start to notice that quiet, calm center within, and notice how it gets easier to find that place when the body is relaxed and when the mind is quiet. Bring the focus to the breath. Bring awareness to the body, laying on the floor. More slowly, going to bring the hands under the shoulders so you can just push your prop away. We're going to slowly come up, hands and knees. And once again, a few rounds of cat-cow. Dropping the belly to the floor, inhale, looking up. Exhale, rounding the back towards the ceiling, chin towards the chest. Come to a flat back. From here, we're going to come into supported child's pose. So you'll want your folded up blankets or your blocks in the center of your mat, long ways. And you'll need your bolster. So from this tabletop position, you're going to just widen the knees, bringing the knees to the edges of the mat. The toes are going to touch behind you. And you're going to start to sit the tailbone and tush towards the feet. And the blocks and the bolster will set up in front of us. However high up you need it to be. If you need a blanket folded on top of the bolster, you can do that. Or if you just want the bolster on the floor is fine. And just move the bolster as close to the body as you think will be comfortable. And just start to fold down over the bolster. So just like child's pose, we're just propping up here. So you can make any adjustments that you need to. And the head will rest on the bolster. Just let the arms rest on the floor. You can turn the head side to side depending on what feels good during the pose. Close the eyes. Start to notice the shins and the tops of the feet, the tailbone sinking towards the floor. Allow them to sink down. Let the bolster and the blocks, any of your props, let them support you here. Breathe into the belly. And the inhales nice and deep. And on the exhales, relax the shoulders and the back towards the floor. Make sure your fingers are nice and loose. Maybe wiggle them. Relax the jaw. This pose automatically helps us to focus more inward. So there may be thoughts arise, there may be feelings that come up. And it's okay to notice them. Just don't dwell on them for very long, just let them go. Focus on the breath. Really filling up that back towards the ceiling on the inhales. And letting everything sink lower on the exhales. let the body come into almost a napping state. That you could just stay here for as long as you needed to. Remember, as you lie in these poses, tell yourself, I am relaxed. Focusing on that intention will help any worries, any concerns, any other self-talk quiet down. You can focus on just being relaxed. You can start to bring some awareness to the body, awareness to the breath. Slowly, with the hands on the floor, just start to push the body up into this kind of kneeling position. We're going to move the bolsters or the blocks or the blanket, coming onto the hands and knees again. And just a few rounds of cat-cow. Inhale, dropping the belly, looking up. Exhale, sending the back towards the ceiling, chin towards the chest. And notice how there might be a little bit more flexibility in the spine, in the lower back, in the shoulders. We'll come to a flat back. We're going to do one on our backs now, so just start to come to the floor, and you will need either you have a folded up blanket, you can use it, or the bolster. We're going to do one just a supported legs in the air, and you can do this one up against a wall. You would just sit up next to the wall. One side, like your left hip would be facing the wall, and then you would just turn the body so that your legs are up the wall and your back is flat on the floor. Sometimes we don't have a wall, so this is one that I do in class often. So once you let the shoulders and the hips settle down, you take your bolster, and with the feet on the floor, you're just going to lift the hips and slide that bolster or blanket under the hips. Now you'll need to maybe adjust the body just a little bit here. So once you feel comfortable and the back feels good, you're going to bring those legs up in the air. And you might need to move the bolster or blanket around. So the tailbone and the hips are supported, but the back feels good on the floor as well. So we're just going to start to let the upper body feel heavy on the floor. So the arms that are by your sides, the shoulders, the middle of the back of the head. And as the hips and the tailbone are supported, the legs are just going to start to float in the air. So we're taking all that daily pressure and weight off of the feet, off of the legs. Every day they hold us up, they move us around. So it's nice to give them a break sometimes. Nice deep breaths here. Really fill up that belly, fill up the lungs, pressing the back into the floor on the inhales. And on the exhales, just let everything fall closer to the floor. Eyes are closed. Let the upper body just keep feeling heavier and heavier as those legs feel lighter and lighter. If the mind starts to wander or race, remember to focus on the breath. And notice the longer that we hold this pose, the legs, how light the legs feel, almost as if they're floating, almost as if they're not there. Enjoy the sensation of not having to do anything here. The floor, the earth is holding you up. You just have to relax into this pose. If at any point you need to bring the legs down and just bring the feet to the floor, you can do that. Just try to keep the body relaxed. Just know that in this hour, in this moment, you're taking time for yourself, that you're taking care of yourself. Bring the awareness to the breath. Maybe start to wiggle the fingers. And then slowly, we're going to bring the legs down, feet coming to the floor. We're going to lift the hips to remove the bolster. With the feet on the mat, we're going to widen the feet out a little to the edges of the mat. And we're just going to start to drop the knees down to either side of the body, just like windshield wipers, just nice and slow. Getting as close to the floor as feels comfortable, just to get a little stretch in the lower back and the hips. The next time you come down to one side, drop the knees down towards the floor. We're going to hold it here, so the knees don't have to touch. You just want to get a bit of a stretch, and you'll feel the stretch mostly in that upper leg, in the hip, and maybe the side, the front of the leg. Breathe deep. Slowly, we're going to bring the knees down to the other side of the body. So just as far as the knees want to come down. And bring the knees back to center. Go ahead and just come to roll to one side. We're going to gently push up to seated. We're going to come into Shavasana, our final relaxation. We're going to do a supported Shavasana. So with your folded blanket, you could just fold it into kind of a rectangle, long rectangle, and you can lay it right behind the tailbone and then lay back down on that. If you want just a slight propped up position, you can always put the blocks down and then the bolster. That will give you a little bit more height so you don't have to come down quite as far, or just the bolster. So, like I said, bring it up against the tailbone. And then you're just going to lay back on the bolster. If your head hangs off your bolster, you can always place the blocks under the head. And we're just going to, and you can always leave the knees bent with the feet on the floor, or you can drop the legs to the floor, wide on the mat. Make any little adjustments that you need. You want that bolster to be right in the center of the back. Alright, and as you start to relax here, just let the chest fall open. Let those shoulders relax towards the floor. The arms are by the sides, and you can also prop the arms, the forearms up on blocks if that feels better. Once you get comfortable, try to find stillness in the pose. Close the eyes. We're just going to let the body melt towards the floor, relaxing the toes and the feet, letting the legs be heavy on the floor. Relax the hips and the tailbone. Let the back relax onto the bolster. Shoulders are dropped down. Relax the arms and the fingers. Let the back of the head just sink towards the floor or the bolster. And last, take any tension from that jaw. Maybe open the mouth really wide. And then close the mouth and let that jaw be relaxed. As you relax here, you may notice feelings coming forward, thoughts starting to wander and race. With this position, the heart chakra is open, and so it may make that feel a little more vulnerable. But just bring the focus to the breath. Breathe through any thoughts, any feelings. Just know that you are safe, and you are calm, and you're relaxed. Start to focus on the breath. Bring awareness to the body. Maybe wiggle the fingers and toes. We're going to slowly bring the feet to the floor, the knees bent. We're just going to roll to one side to remove whatever prop we were using to lay on, so the back can come flat to the floor. We're going to bring the knees to the chest, really pressing the thighs into the belly, knees towards the chest. Roll to your right side, rest your head on your arm. And then gently and slowly, we're going to push the body up to seated position, sitting cross-legged, backs tall, shoulders over the hips. Close your eyes, we'll breathe here. Bring the hands prayer position to the heart center. Notice the quiet mind, the relaxed, calm body. And know that you can find that place anytime, anywhere. Focusing on the breath and just releasing any tension in the body. Last breath here. And you can open your eyes. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. Like I said earlier, this will be on Facebook from now on, and I will try to get it on YouTube tonight. So if you're feeling any stress or anxiety, try this sequence out and see if it helps. See you guys later.